Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little get ready with me makeup tutorial, but sharing my top tips and tricks while doing my makeup to have a more flawless base, a long-lasting finish, and maybe you'll learn something new that you didn't know. Who knows? I do want to quickly mention this shirt. It is an Irish designer, Aoife. I'm going to link her down below because look at the detail. Also the color, definitely inspired the lip and the blush choice. But without further ado, let's just get into the video. All right, I have a little bit of concealer on, not a lot. It was a real quick job before I dropped off Olive at nursery and Oscar at his nana's. First top tip that I can't recommend enough is obviously good skincare. Really spending time on it, especially pre-makeup application, really massaging either your serum, your face cream, anything like that into your skin so it plumps it out and gets it prepped and ready for your base product. We're gonna go to foundation. I'm using the Bare Minerals Original Liquid. I have the shade Golden Ivory 07. Now, I do have a little bit of tan left over, so hopefully this is okay. I'm gonna do 2 pumps on the back of my hand. It is a little bit more of a watery consistency. This is something where I never really did this until recently, and it does kind of make a difference, you guys. Taking a flat, like a traditional foundation brush. I feel like everyone had one of these back in the day. I'm gonna pick up the foundation and I'm gonna spread it on my face. Now, this is gonna make sure you're actually getting the full amount of foundation on, whereas if you use a beauty sponge, which I normally use, it obviously soaks up a good portion of that product, which is fine because I still do it and I like the application. But this way you're getting the full amount of product. Might look a little streaky and not finished, but that's where a beauty sponge comes in after. Also, going into tip 2, while we're doing tip 1, leave the section around your eyes makeup free. This is something I learned from Nikki Makeup, who is possibly my favorite makeup artist ever. I'll link her down below. I'm sure you follow her. She has millions of followers. She's incredible. But I did a master class with her and she leaves this area free, especially if you're using concealer. If you're not using concealer and you're blessed with beautiful under eyes with no discoloration or anything, you can go with your foundation and just go right under your eyes for a more natural finish. But if you want a little bit more of coverage, fuller coverage, anything like that, and you're going to go in with a concealer, then leave this area free so you don't have cakiness, extra buildup, which obviously results in creasing. Obviously sounds so simple and straightforward. I just never did that. I always went right up to my lash line with my foundation, with whatever foundation I was using, because that's what I thought I had to do. And then I layered just a little bit of concealer, but still had another layer, where concealer is obviously more dense. Now going to a beauty sponge. This is actually, well, I don't know if it's new, but it's new for me, from Huda Beauty. And I'm just going to buff whatever is on my skin, because I can see, you know, just like a little bit of streaking from that specific brush. This is just going to blend it all out, but not lift, like there's nothing really coming off on my sponge. Whereas if I started with just a sponge, I would be using a lot more pumps with this specific foundation. So this just kind of buffs and perfects what we put on with that brush. Another common, well-known little tip, which most of you would know, but if you're a little bit new to makeup or not really into makeup, is using 2 different types of concealer. Using a little bit more of a brightening concealer under your eyes, because obviously that's where you want brightness and a lift, and then using a skin tone the same color as the rest of your face concealer on blemishes, redness, and just basically everywhere else on your face. I'm gonna take this one from Fenty Beauty. It's in the shade 190, and I'm gonna use this under my eyes just because it's a little bit lighter. I don't want bright under eyes. I know that's a look. It's not for me right now. I'm gonna put a little bit of this in the inner corner area right here on either side, and just a little bit at the outer corner. I don't want too much product, just because the more product, the more likeliness of creasing. Then I'm gonna take a concealer that's a little bit more the same tone as the rest of my face, which is the Rose Ink in LX060. Incredible concealer, love it. And put it on areas that, you know, are residue from my monthly visitor, just to freshen up and perfect. I prefer to use the warmth of my finger for blemish concealer, just because I feel like it blends it in a little bit more and you're not disrupting anything underneath. For under my eyes, however, I do prefer to use a sponge, because I actually don't mind a little bit of product coming off. I don't care for a lot of concealer under my eyes. I'm 30 now, I know I'm not old, but I do get creasing, so minimal amount of product under my eyes is key. Another tip while I'm blending up my concealer, if you're not, again, a massive makeup buyer and you just like your essentials, use the concealer as an eyeshadow base to mute out any veins or discoloration. This gives a nice base and it acts as an eyeshadow primer. So you can get a little 2-in-1 there, and then always set it with a powder, which we'll do anyways after. Moving on to contour. This is something I've mentioned in previous videos, especially long lasting type videos. And also if you have oily skin, layering up in areas like bronzing and blush really helps keep the longevity of your makeup and reduces, you know, having to touch up. And if you have somewhere to be at night and you don't have time to touch up, this will, you know, last as long as possible. So what I mean by layering is when I'm going in with bronzer, I'm going to start with a cream or liquid type bronzer first, or contour, whatever you want to use, and then go in with a powder to like double set it. So you're like reassuring that that is going to stay as long as possible. If you just go in with cream, creams normally do fade quicker throughout the day or move, especially if you're oily. If you go in with powder, again, they can sometimes oxidize, move with oils, and they just fade throughout the day. That's just natural. So layering up in areas, you're always gonna get longevity out of that. So I'm gonna take this concealer actually from Bare Minerals. I love it as a brightening under eye concealer as well, but we're gonna use it as a contour today, like a bronzing contour. It's in the shade Dark 5W. Little goes a long way because it is quite pigmented. I'm gonna go on the tops of my cheek. We're gonna go there because I feel like that actually might be perfect for the other places I need to blend out, because trust me, it is pigmented. So I'm gonna take the round side of this sponge and start buffing away. Don't ever forget the temples, because that really just helps elevate the contoured look right up into my forehead and hairline. Crazy how one little line like that can give all of that. I'm all blended out, super natural. I would wear this on its own. I think it's so pretty and just very wearable. But to reassure it, I'm going to take my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer in the shade 2 medium on a more soft powder brush and just set those areas that we just contoured, making sure to really go from my eye into the temple. I feel like that's really underestimated, and especially at the moment, like a more trending contour blush situation is like this area right here, not so much this area, it's more up here. So if you want to lift your face, really stay to that corner, just like we did with the bronzer contour, using a cream and then a powder to really set it. We're going to do the same with blush. So I've used a cream, it's perfect, and it will be released in November. So we're gonna move on to powder. So for powder, I actually just received a PR pack from Glowish by Huda Beauty, and I think I'm gonna use Caring Coral. There's a couple here. I think Caring Coral looks like it would really, you know, help complement this look already. I'm gonna take a little bit on this angled blush brush from Bare Minerals actually, and start from the temple and bring it down. So wherever, another tip, wherever you place your brush first on your face, whether that's face, bronzer, contour, blush, eyeshadow, that is where the most amount of product will be. So because I want the most to be in that temple region and then buffed onto the apples in my cheek, I'm gonna start at the temple region. If I was to start on the apples, then it's always gonna be the most amount of product there. So sometimes it can look a little, you know, apple heavy, if that makes sense. So again, I'll show you, really tap off extra, starting at the temple and sweeping and brushing back. So you have the most in this area here, and then you can just tap whatever you want on areas you want to also have a little bit of blush, but not as much. Again, always on the eyes, right into the temple area. I'm actually gonna just blend it right into the forehead too, because I just think it looks really flattering. With nothing else on my face, it can always look a little intense, but I'm a blush crazy person, so take this to what is comfortable for you. Also remember, blush is one of those things that tends to blend into the rest of your face throughout the day and fades. So doing this will prevent that a little bit more, but go a little bit heavier than you think with blush. Plus, it's just so feminine and pretty and natural, and oh, I love blush, so good. I'm gonna do a quick little brush through of brow gel on my brows because don't really want to focus on them. And because I had them microbladed a year ago, I don't really have any tips for you at the moment because there's a little bit of microblading on there. So I'm going to take this Huda Beauty Balm Brows Full and Fluffy in Caramel Blonde. I'm just going to do a quick little brush through just to define them and fluff them out. Moving on to our eyes, I always use an eyelash curler. I know that is so common for some people, but some people just forget about it. For a while there in my makeup routine, everyday makeup routine, I never used an eyelash curler, and the difference it makes, you guys, is incredible. This one in particular is my favorite. It's a Tweezerman one. I go right at the root. It's always awkward to show because you're literally like right in the eye, right at the root, and then start to pump up like about 10 pumps. And then I really turn it up and like, look at the difference. Insane, right? Like that's no eyelash curler and that's an eyelash curler. So go get an eyelash curler. For mascara, the tip I have is obviously get a mascara you love that doesn't transfer, flake, crumble, any of that stuff. I have my favorite mascaras linked down below. I feel like I'm a good advocate for mascara because I have quite long lashes and oily eyelids. I'm very picky with my mascaras because if it transfers, I don't got time for it. I will not use it again. And I go through so many and some cult favorites for people, but they still transfer on me. So I have a very select few that I love and rave about. I have some added ones since filming that video. Code8 Beauty, Lash Sophisticate being one. This one is really good as well. I always forget the brand though. I'll link it down below. It's the Catherine Zeta-Jones one. That's why I don't love putting it in videos because I don't know if it was limited edition. I'm just gonna link that mascara video down below because those ones are available all the time. So just use mascara. The way you can do different styles of mascara is all over. So you have a full flutter lash, which really opens up your eyes, makes them look bigger and more awake. Or you can do a cat lash where you just kind of concentrate the mascara at the outer corner of your eyes. I prefer for my eye type to just do a full lash, especially for every day. If I'm gonna do a cat eye along with a little bit of eyeshadow to accentuate it, then of course I'll go in a little bit more at the outer corners. But for every day, a full lash. So get every single lash in that inner corner to really fan it out. I mean, get a lash serum, you guys. We're gonna come back to our eyes because I am incredibly sloppy with my mascara, and I'll show you how you can get rid of all those little marks that I made without ruining shadow if you already did a full shadow look before you mascara, which normally people do. We're gonna move on to lips though. So I remember going to a conference with Urban Decay when I first moved over here. I worked for Urban Decay, but the guest speakers were the Pixie Woo sisters, and they had like a top tip trick with lip liner. If you want to accentuate a fuller looking lip without looking like you're really overlining your lips, because obviously we all know overlining your lips makes your lips look naturally fuller, which it does, but there's a way to do it where it doesn't look like you're overlining your lips. So taking a nicely freshly sharpened pencil, we've got Whirl here, no surprise, starting at the outer corner on the top lip. You start up here and go down naturally, how you're holding it, the positioning, you're cutting off a good portion of your lip, which is just going to make it look the size it is, which is fine. But if you want to accentuate a fuller looking natural lip, you're going to start at the outer corner and drag it all the way up, lightly overlining from around that Cupid bow area, not the bottom corner, the top middle. I'll come up close so you can see. Hopefully you're not looking at my nose. So you can see already my lip looks a lot fuller on this side. I naturally have pretty full lips, but they're not very pigmented, as you can see. So they kind of just blend into the rest of my face. So liner is crucial for me just to outline my lips to show that I have lips. So you can just see with that little over, oh my gosh, look how awful that is. Literally broke me when I was working out last night. Anyways, I feel like I have to like show it with these 3 fingers. Line your lips, people. Start from the outer corner, go over your Cupid's bow, and it will just look fuller, but a natural full. I'm gonna do a gloss today instead of lipstick just because I love Whirl liner on its own. Weird enough though, I don't love Whirl lipstick. I don't know what it is. Love Whirl liner on its own because I can control where I want more depth and a little bit more sheared outness of it. I'm gonna take this gloss from Maybelline. It is the Lifter Hyaluronic Acid Gloss. I have the shade 006 Reef. It's a really pretty pale pink. So I'm just gonna put it in the middle area here. It's really nice, you guys, and it's not sticky. It's like a really creamy feeling. I want to keep it more in the middle area. I don't want to put it too much on the outer corner. I just want like a sheen. So for eyes, you can see there's mascara mistakes all over. You're gonna take a spoolie and just lightly tap away at it. The top tip here is to make sure it dries. So when you've made the mistake, don't go in right away or else that's where the mess happens. Wait until it's dry, hence me moving on to another area of my face to focus on so that I'm not just sitting there waiting for it to dry, because that's when you can get a little impatient. Even if it's the last thing you do, don't forget to do it, even if it's the last thing you do. We're getting there, people. I'm sure if you're a consistent follower of my videos, you're probably like, why have you not put setting powder on? You're oily, you always use setting powder, normally right after your concealer. This is another trick I've actually seen a little bit more recently, especially on TikTok Reels. It's spot powdering. So I'm taking like an eyeshadow brush, you guys, like a fluffy one, and instead of going in with like a sponge or a massive brush or anything like that, sometimes you over powder, which can get cakey and it just can look a little powdery. I'm gonna take a small one and literally I'm gonna go up and close. Does that focus? Yeah. Press it on the areas that I would have obvious pores, a little bit bigger than other areas, but I'm being very select with where I'm powdering. So I'm not just like dabbing it all under. I'm just putting a little bit under my eyes in that one crease, just going the opposite way. I also don't like to powder too much under my eyes anymore because I feel like I crease less when I don't powder. Gives a nice smooth finish and takes away that shine that you can see obviously on that side. This is like nice and smooth and matte. So I'm just gonna do the same on the other side. All right, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my tips and tricks. Let me know any other video recommendations you have for me in the comments down below. I hope you all have a wonderful day and I'll see you soon. Bye.